Little update tonight on these wonderful selvage denim jeans from Benzak. These are the B-01s. This is a 15.5 ounce denim from the Kojima mills in Japan. We've just got to the 12-month mark on these. These have been worn really regularly throughout the last year, mainly in the office, so pretty much every working day I've worn these. Initially I started off with them straight, uncuffed, slightly longer leg than I'd normally wear, so I was looking for a little bit of stacking, and only in the last few months have I taken them out of office rotation, partly because they'd had their fade set in. They weren't quite smart enough. They didn't have that sort of strong indigo colour anymore, so they didn't quite work for my office environment. But also, obviously, a lot of us are now home working, so my sort of fashion choices changed as I moved into the home working environment. So these are a slim tapered cut, and this is pretty much my perfect fit. I'm kind of a slender guy. I like the more modern, probably what we'd call a European sort of cut, and that's really what Benzak sort of specialise in. So they've taken the Japanese quality, the fabrics, the tradition and the manufacture, and they've brought it into sort of European cuts and delivered something specifically for the European market. So in terms of fit, as I say, really great for me. The top box, really good. I've found in the past with a slender cut, certainly thinking back to the Ironheart 55501s, lovely cut, really nice silhouette, but there's something a little bit restrictive in the top block, and I was only just the other day sharing some thoughts on that with someone on the Ironheart forum. So these really are just that little bit better in terms of cut. As I say, these are 31 tag size, which normally, the way things are sort of sized and a little bit of vanity sizing, normally I'd be going for a 32. What I'm looking for is, once broken in, sort of a 34 and a half-ish waist. But, you know, this particular cut is a little bit more generous, so 31 tag on these. So I guess we'll go into a few measurements on these. So with a 31-inch tag, with these you've got a 34-inch waist. The front rise is 10 inches. The rear rise is 15. At the thigh it's 11.5 inches, and on the knee it's 8.25. The inseam, as I said, is 33.5, so normally I'll be wearing that with a cuff, and at the hem a nice taper down to 7 inches. So the fit is absolutely wonderful, and the way they've broken in, superb. I will get onto these two here towards the end of the video, so I thought I'd celebrate the first year of my Benzak jeans with picking up a few other things from Benzak. So I've got their B-01 chinos, which I think will be a great addition to the office once we're allowed back in, if we're still in summer. Linen, really lightweight, 7.5 ounces, so they're going to be great, and a nice hoodie for the evenings as they become cooler. So really focusing on the jeans here. You know, this is a brilliant cut, the fade's setting in brilliantly, really nice honeycombs on the backs of the knees, the whiskers in the front there, absolutely superb, and no real wear. So occasionally, I sort of at a year mark, I might expect to start getting some blowouts, certainly on the backs of the knees. The only place we're seeing any wear is just a tiny little spot of wear there on the crotch, and I think at some point that will need a little bit of work, but you know, very minor and completely typical of a pair of jeans at the 1 year mark in my experience. In terms of care, it is important to look after the fibres, so you've got to find that happy medium between fades and longevity. You do need to take the dust, the starch, and the dirt out of the fibres in order to give it good life. Without that, you'll get more blowouts. So my approach is every 3 months I will give them a soak, so that's just a cold water soak just to take that superficial debris out, and then at the 6-month mark, every other sort of 3 months, I'll be giving it a hot bathtub wash. So a bit of detergent. I tend to use Samurai Thunder soap. Woolite Black is also really good, but a gentle wash, no machine washing, no tumble drying, air dry only. But that tends to give it that little bit more life. So I think probably the thing which we need to do now is really get in there and look at some of the details. Coming in to check out these jeans in a little bit more detail, you can really see how wonderfully the fades have set in over the last year. Beautiful whiskers, really nice sort of highlights and pops around the edges of the pockets where, you know, I've put my hands in, and also on the 5th pocket here. Really nice, just beautiful depth of colour, sort of parts where very little indigo loss at all, others where we've almost gone back to the white fibres. Just there you've got the edge of the pocket liner, just popping that out there, obviously down the seam. Really lovely highlights, and that's really what I love about raw denim, is just seeing that evolution over time. As always, one of the real stress points is the crotch. As I say, the regular rinsing and washing really helps with longevity on that, and there is a slight weakening there, but completely typical of a pair of jeans at the 12-month mark with this sort of wear. Obviously with Benzak there's a few extra details you'll sort of come to expect, but you know, quite interesting, and it's nice that they've looked at jeans afresh. So the 6th pocket here is a very much a Benzak innovation. Really nice bit of selvage popping along the edge there. A little bit of selvage on the inside of the 5th pocket as well. You've got a button fly with nicely branded buttons, and also a nice little size tab there from Benzak. 31-inch waist, which is normally, as I say, you know, I'd expect to go to a 32, but the way they've cut these, 31 was the right size. It stretched nicely out to around about 34 inches, which is the sweet spot for me. On the inside, not a lot to see, but you've got the nice linen pocket bags, really good sort of weight to them. You know, no sort of blowouts on those where phones have sat. Normally you get sort of a slight weakening where the corners of your phone might sit. Got a nice little bit of branding. Always like to find these details. Obviously the rears of the rivets are branded BDD, Benzak Denim Developers. No branding on the front of the copper rivets, but just that little branding on the rear. Flipping over to the back pockets and the rear of the jeans, again you can see the highlights and the pops of fades coming through on the edges of the pockets here. Hidden rivets. Oh no, actually no rivets, just bar tacks on the pockets. Plenty strong enough. Obviously, if you've worn raw denim jeans before, you'll know that these are the first places you'll see the lightning where you put the extra wear on from sitting on them. Nice leather patch, really very simple. The Benzak B-01 branding sits just below my belt, and you can see there's a slight tan line there where that's had more exposure to sunlight, with the rest being tucked away behind the belt. Nice fading and evolution on the belt loops. Moving down the back to one of the sort of highlights on these, some really strong fades on the honeycombs there. That's certainly one of the sort of highlights on these. Absolutely fantastic fading on the backs of the knees. Again, as I said, this can be an area for blowouts because it is a high stress area, but with the right sort of care and good quality denim, no issues there. But really pin sharp fades, so you've got pretty much no indigo loss here, and then sort of going up to these peaks where you've got, yes, very light indigo remaining. It's absolutely, I think, what we all strive for, and superb honeycombs on these. Just moving down, as we said, initially I wore these in the office, so I was not cuffing them. They were stacking. 33.5-inch leg is quite long for me, really. Sort of, if I want something sitting on the top of my shoe, we're talking 32 inches. So there's plenty of stacking, but stacks really do take a long time to set in. I think the reward for stacks is one that's sort of hard fought, so I think I'll stick with cuffs, to be perfectly honest, or a slightly shorter leg for the office. As I say, now cuffed, no sort of real wear on those. They've really only had 3 months of cuffing. Nice bit of salvage detail, of course. And just finally flipping around to the front of the jeans, on the front of the knees. So light wear on the knees, and these sort of fades radiating out, pops on the inseam. Okay. Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of the video. I'll put a link below to Benzak's website so you can see where you can pick out these BC01s. We will do a follow-up review very shortly on these BC01s, the tapered linen chinos, which look absolutely fantastic. Great detailing, as we've come to expect from Benzak, and also this really nice heavyweight hoodie for the autumn months. So review coming up on these very shortly. Link below for these. I hope you found that useful. I've really enjoyed these. I think they've broken in really, really nicely, and there's some really great indicators for Benzak as a brand, because these are fantastic jeans, really nice cut for me. If you haven't seen my channel before, please check it out. Lots of denim, boots, bit of everyday carry, fountain pens, pen knives, that sort of thing, cycling, guitar. Do check the channel out. We might share some other common interests. Of course, I'd love it if you subscribed, and of course, I'll see you for the next video. Okay? Thank you very much. Bye-bye.